So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Monday, February the 15th, 2021, and our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. And we would love to hear your comments and questions because it makes it your show. And while we're waiting on Michael to dial in, Doug, since you're still on, I'm just going to add, I had typed it into the chat room, but, in some situations, like there is integrative and disintegrative energies in the creation. And for instance, and this is without judgment, it's just a fact that drinking acid is not going to serve you as well as drinking water. I mean, there's just some things that, it's a fact without a judgment to it. And so I know that's getting a little far away from actually what you were talking about, but that's one way of looking at it is, is this whatever conversation or behavior or whatever, does it build me up or does it tear me down? And that's for each person. There may be somebody out there who has reached a level of awareness to the point that they could drink acid, but I know I'm not there, so I'm not even going to give it a try. So.
I think you unmuted me. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
I think that idea is fabulous. It's helpful for me actually and that's kind of the part of the struggle that happens for me around some questions. It's like it appears to me that in one idea, that's what I meant when I say I think one idea works better than another. I mean, drinking water works better if your goal is to have health and well-being in your body than drinking acid. And so
correct.
That is, to say, well, for me to say, oh, I think water's better than acid, the extreme of this, there is no truth in the world, and everybody's truth is just as good, could lead to someone else saying to me, well, you're, bigoted against acid because you feel it's bad to drink it, and it's like, or some other term or judgment placed because I'm saying that one thing works better than another in my opinion, and not just my opinion, in factual documentation. That's the breakdown of truth in society, and I struggle with that and with my ability to speak and manage not, and I guess that goes back to what Dr. Tim was saying. I'm like to be able to be clear enough that I can not need someone to acknowledge or be 100% okay with them saying that to me, and still be willing to speak up and say, well, I don't think this is a good idea for culture, especially when that person maybe advocates that everybody should drink acid water,
Right. Yeah. So, you just have to look at what's good for you and builds you up and is good for your system and, honor yourself.
And see, right there is part of the problem, too, for me, is that it's fine if I say this is true for me, but if I say this is true for society, that's where someone else could create a lot of opposition. Someone who had a different opinion about it would be very upset with me for saying, no, the evidence and the facts support this idea in the finance. This is a responsible way for a nation to prosper, not this way. And then they would say, no, you're off the mark because you hold a set position about something. And who are you to impose your idea of what's true on me or society? Whereas I would say the same to them. It's like, don't advocate that there is no difference in the effect on culture of drinking acid or not. Yeah. So I think I'm very well understood by you.
So I don't know if Michael, if you want to add anything to that.
I did not hear the early part of the conversation, so I'm kind of out of the loop. I just came in as Doug, and hi, Doug, started talking.
Hi, Michael. Yeah,
Are you okay with that, or do you want to go further, Doug?
I would be curious. I mean, I feel like I've gotten a wealth of opportunity right here from what's been said by Dr. Tim and yourself, and I would be, if there's no one else with a hand up, willing to carry on a little bit and see if Michael had any other ideas for me, and I could start.
Let's go for it.
Okay, so what I asked Dr. Tim is I want to work with my issues around like feeling afraid to say what I think, or concerns that I have that culturally we've moved towards a place where anyone who says, well, this is a better idea than another idea, or this is a better way to do something than another way, or if it's, I'm just going to take a relatively discharged area like finance, like, okay, this kind of monetary policy leads to more prosperity than another one. And then if someone takes a firm position, everyone starts to say, well, you're judgmental, or you're bigoted, or you're not open-minded, or there's something wrong with you. And then I don't want to get into the fray, even though I think that from a moral standpoint, I have to almost. It's like you have to, if you don't stand up for what's right. And then Jeanie said, well, she gave the analogy of drinking acid is not as good for your health as drinking water. And that's a clear and easy documentable situation. But in other areas of morality or finance, it's a lot harder. And I'm just trying to deal with the cultural movement that's happened over the last number of decades to say there is no absolute truth. No one can stand for, saying one position is better than any other, and then you get called all kinds of names if you take a position. And that's sort of my own prison of, well, then I don't want to share what I am aware of or what I feel, and I'm looking for how to work through that territory.
Well, my offering would be that it sounds like being rejected, in your opinion, is an issue that would deserve some forgiveness work, as opposed to I can stand and express my opinion and somebody has another, they have another. I can be strongly for my opinion and I can, leave space for them. But when I take it personally that it's a rejection of me, then I'd be doing some forgiveness, some canceling my need to be accepted or respected or whatever the specific goal would be. And, I can just allow whoever has an opinion to speak what they speak, and I can speak truly and clearly what my take is on it without having to take it as a put down by them.
All right, thank you. I think that's another circling of what feedback I'm being given. So I'm just going to say that's where I need to be. That's what I need to work on, and I think that will help me. And so I'm going to work in that direction. And I appreciate the assistance today. And I think that'll probably be sufficient for me.
Honored and delighted.
Great. Good to hear your voice and Jeanie's voice
as
well.
Sir.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Lots of love.
You too. Take care. All right.
Hey
Welcome
there,
to the show, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart. I'm sitting here looking at the conversation with Richard in chapter 6, What is Reality? So I'd like to cover a little bit of the book. We've just been talking with Richard about himself recognizing that he's quick to judge people. And he's starting to get the insight. What he says is, now I see why people in my life are confused by my behavior. I'm quick to accuse and then often have no idea why. No idea why I'm upset. I understand now that my upset is a reality in my head. I'm grasping the idea that my reaction to the waitress didn't have anything to do with the actuality of what happened, except that it was a trigger. I'm sure my reality didn't remotely resemble the one that was happening for her. And so if you weren't with us when we finished this, the first part of this chapter on Friday, Richard talked about an example where he sat drinking a cup of coffee. A waitress comes over and takes the cup of coffee, and he goes into disturbance and upset, hostility toward her for taking his coffee. And we're defining the difference between reality and actuality. And when the waitress explains to him that she saw that that there was coffee in his saucer and it was going to spill on his suit, all of a sudden there's somebody with a totally different reality around the same actuality. And our point, and it's just right on, thanks for the example just now, Doug, is that, if I have a disturbance that seems to be about something, my mind is in denial. Remember, our definition of denial is when I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's happening inside of me. Then I'm in denial, and I dissociate from the real cause of what my mind is surfacing. And in that state, I hold a particular construct. In this case, in his example was, he became angry as this woman took his cup of coffee, but what she was doing was getting ready to replace it with a fresh cup and saucer, so he kept the suit clean. So when we realize that the output of the mind is our own individual reality, and then there's the actuality, if we start to hang out more and more in actuality, we'll realize that what our realities inject into the scene can sometimes be pretty bizarre. And if there's any form of hostility or fear in my reality, then my mind is using corrupt data to produce this picture. And the whole core of forgiveness and its power lies in the ability to collapse our realities that are based in pain. And when we collapse realities based in pain, we get to access the underlying dynamic of that pain, and we get to start to deal with it at its root rather than repeated projection. So Richard goes on, this initial insight provided Richard with a new perspective on actuality, his own and others, internal reality structures, and his responsibility for his life. He had understood the concept of trigger and was delighted. I feel great. Key thought that comes in the book now is we've been trained to think that giving up responsibility for ourselves is easier than being responsible. It is not. Good work, Richard. It's exciting to see through new eyes, isn't it? My experience is that most people think, quote, everyone is experiencing the same thing as I am. Why don't they understand me? The truth is that every moment, every person is experiencing a different reality, and seldom do our realities match actuality. If you don't make room in your heart and mind for other people's realities to be different, especially in your intimate relationships, there's going to be trouble. And so recognizing the difference between reality and actuality and being willing to step into a new world becomes a powerful, powerful place to go. And the objective of this work is to support you and take you there. And, the basic offering is that anytime your mind is structuring something out of hostility and fear, your mind is telling you a lie. And it's time to let loose out, to let go of the lies and move more and more to where your mind accurately represents the actuality of a situation rather than something based in hostility or fear being triggered by a situation and literally replacing our awareness of the actuality with a mental structure we'll call reality that is simply a replication of something from the past. And my offering is that most people, especially the people who are in upset and pain and trauma all the time, always agitated, always disturbed, it's because they're living in a total, complete fantasy world. And the fantasy world is nothing but a construct of the mind. And when we start to use the tools, the objective of forgiveness is to go in and to remove the content in the mind that's based in hostility, to remove the corrupt data, literally to process that out of the mind. So that's where we want to head with these tools. And our core tool is forgiveness. If you haven't begun to use it yet, please jump on our website, whyagain.org. And in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a link that says Start Here. Click on the Start Here link. It'll walk you through all the understanding you could possibly drink about forgiveness. There are radio shows where we've walked people through the forgiveness process. There are copies of the worksheet that you can do. You can actually do the worksheet on the website. You can download the worksheets and print them so you can do them in your home in a written format. You can also go to your app store and type in the words Heartland, all one word, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, forgiveness. And you'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app. It's free. It's also free of permissions. We used as few as tiny a number of permissions as we could possibly do, so that you could rest assured that anything you put in that app was totally private. And the only thing it needs is permission to use the internet. If you decide at the end of doing your worksheet you want to print it, there's a button you can push to print a PDF, and it will ask for a second permission, and that is to allow you to write the PDF to your drive on your phone. But otherwise, totally and completely private, and of course, we're here to answer questions on how the process works. So, Ms. Jeanie, do we have anybody out there in the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
No questions. Bob is in the chat room with Joan and I, and he was just agreeing with what you had said to Doug, and nobody has a hand up. So we've got 42 minutes. Press 1, and you're first in line without waiting.
Lots of time for conversation.
While we're waiting on someone to press 1, I'll just offer that we now have MP4s available for purchase. Or it won't be a download, but you will be sent
Streaming
a private
purchase.
link, and you can watch it as often as you want. And the price is about half the price of purchasing the DVD and no shipping. So that's available. I put the link in the notes for today.
Sweet. So if you're out there in listener land and you have a question for us, if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, you can dial into the show at 563-999-3581. If you do that, you'll be listening to the show. And then if you push 1 through the magic of technology, a little hand will go up in the control panel, and Jeanie will know that you want to talk with us. So if you're out there in listener land, push 1, and we'll be having a conversation. Shall we just do a moment of silence?
I'm not sure, but I think Susan might have pressed 1 again. It flickered on the switchboard. That happens so quickly that sometimes I'm not sure. Susan, did you press 1 again?
I didn't, but I'm definitely here.
Well, let's go for it. What's on your mind today, young lady?
Well, I was telling Dr. Tim he had given me a mind shifter that taught me that it doesn't matter if the mind shifter is right or wrong, because your mind will tell you what the right words are, and so you can tweak.
Sure.
So I know that. I have been using something that he calls forgiveness pattern, which is basically a written out bunch of admonitions or suggestions to use when you're using a worksheet and the little column on the right says, I give up my need to be right. That's one of the forgiveness patterns. I'll get it out. Here it is. I cancel my need to be right. I cancel my need for anyone or anything else to change, including me. That's a big cancel. I put my conscious, logical mind on the shelf. for now. I cancel my specific goal for this worksheet. I ask. That sort of sets a stage. Radical canceling sets a stage. I ask to be shown the hidden part of my mind that's actually creating the negative emotion presented in this worksheet. And it goes on from there. It's quite long, but I've always puzzled about what it means in the evaluation code about truth, but I found the answer in the process of doing a mind shifter and worksheet. This has been a big issue. I have this feeling that I cannot be happy if my children are not well or happy. So that is virtually like saying my son is making me sick or ill or unhappy.
Right.
It's a whole denial picture. So he gave me, I wish I could find it. Where did I put it? He gave me a mind shifter, which was a woman who is unable to heal or help her son live a happy, healthy life does not deserve to live a happy, healthy life. And I sat with that for a minute and I thought, well, sure, she deserves to, but she can't. She can't. So I changed the worksheet, the mind shifter, to can't. And then did the forgiveness pattern, which I was just reading part of. There are more admonitions there. But to be able to stop, just stop, and let the mind deliver whatever is in there. And several key memories about my son as a newborn, for instance, or a little boy came up. And the first one's really interesting because he failed to breathe when he first came out. And I was chattering with my husband and so delighted that we had a son and so happy. And I was a little bit loopy because I was evidently on some kind of pain thing. It was natural childbirth, quote unquote. But I think they must have given me something. In any case, I heard the nurse say, "Doctor, it's been a minute." And I became conscious right then and thought, oh, my God. I just figured he'd be fine, and he's fine, and he isn't fine. Oh, my God. Then he breathed. There was very little time for more anxiety. But my takeaway from that was that I wasn't attentive to my boy. And I will never do that again. I will be there for him. And then that just went into the memory. I remembered that memory. And then shortly after, he was put in what they called an Anderson box. Have you ever heard of that, Michael?
Not familiar with it.
Well, I'm not either, and I went online, and the name has been changed or it doesn't exist. In any case, he was a full-term baby, but his numbers were low. There was something, he was cold, and his oxygen was low. They put him in this box. I could see him, but he was beside my bed while I was in the hospital. And I was told that this is what he needs. He needs to be in this Anderson box, which would warm him up. And so I watched him for the day that he was there. It was only a day, but I didn't touch that little guy for a day. Later on, years later, we have a relative who had twin daughters who were born early. And they went to the hospital every day, took them out of the incubators, and placed them on their chests. And they call it kangaroo care, where they warm the babies, they have human contact, and they pretty much just replicate normal dealing with a little baby. This blew my mind because I thought, ever since I came home from the hospital with that baby, my boy, I have told the lie to everyone that was curious that I took him out of the box and put him on my chest. And that was the motherly, right, healthy, good thing to do. Leaving him in the box was a bad thing. And this is a conclusion I came to. Whether it's true or not, I have no idea. That's why I was looking up Anderson box to find out whether I had been wrong. But in any case, I felt wrong and made up a lie that I didn't tell anyone until I told my friend Ellen, who calls in to Dr. Tim quite often, because he's doing the miracles lessons, and she loves doing those. She called me up and she said, oh, my God. And as I was telling her about the Anderson box, I said, you know, Ellen, you're the first person I've ever told that I've been lying about this to myself and everyone else ever since he was in that little box. And I think the conclusion I did was it's not safe for mothers to be unaware of the doings of their children, especially if they're not well. And then I thought that's the truth connection in the evaluation code. Suddenly I realized I haven't been living in truth, and it isn't that it's a lie. It's that it's a mental adjustment in order to not face a truth or something like that. So there's been a lot of aha.
That's what perception does.
Yeah. So
it keeps us locked in the carbon-based memory story and replaces actuality with something that's more palatable. And of course, as you forgive, you let loose of that, and you get to the point where truth becomes safe and honest and nurturing.
That's so true. And then I realized, no wonder I can't let my son have whatever he's going through. I can't let him have his painful situation. I have to be in there being vigilant, whereas I let that baby breathe for a minute and he ended up fine. And I let that baby be in the Anderson box. And who knows if he's fine or not, but it's just that mothers can't be there all the time. And it's sort of like I got permission to let him be who he is and go through what he goes through and be okay myself. And I'm working on it, Michael. I'm partway there. I'm doing worksheets like mad. I've been reading about the healing crisis and the sign of healing crisis looks like emotionally is any negative emotion and feeling I've ever had, plus depression. I've been depressed, thinking I have no moorings now. I have no way to help him. I have no way to, I know doing love exchanges from a distance and seeing him as well and all that is the best thing to do. But to actually learn that and let that be, it's coming, but it's just taking a while.
Your mind is nagging at you over what you should be doing.
Well, it has been. That's the depression, like where now? And actually, it's very interesting because this week I haven't heard from him much. And I know his pattern of terrible anxiety, especially on Sunday nights before going back to the chaos of the hospital. But I haven't called him to check in with him. And he called me once and said, come on grocery shopping with me now. I'd like to visit, but I have to do these groceries. And I said, I can't. I'm at church on Zoom. He said, skip the Zoom to church and come with me. And I said, Beav, I can't. How about this afternoon? He said, okay, I'll call you later. Well, he didn't call. And all this does is tell me that he's less attached to checking in with me than I am with checking in with him. And this is a freeing thing. This is just freeing. That he's going to do it his way on his own time. I don't know where I'm going with this, except to say,
Well, my offering is, and the best thing you could offer him is to be the space of active love, whether you're in conversation or from a distance. And your work would be the forgiveness of anything less than that. Those old fears, those old, things that are unsure, just lop them off, let loose of them, and know that being that space is going to open the most powerful gift you can give him.
I've known that.
And we'll join you in offering that gift.
Thanks. Well, to know it on one level, it hasn't been enough, but I'm getting there with using the worksheets, the mind shifter, and the symptoms of healing, so I don't get scared when I see that I don't feel very good, and so I'm tempted to say, I'm doing it wrong. Well, it isn't wrong. It's right. So that's a report. I wasn't going to do that because... Go ahead.
No, it just sounds like the core issue of I'm wrong, I'm bad, is one to be freeing yourself of.
Mm-hmm.
And know that as you follow your guidance, you're right on track.
I've needed the tools to get to my guidance, but yeah, you're right. The tools help us get there.
Yeah, and even if the actuality doesn't follow your guidance, you're still on track, giving the best you can give.
Yeah. That's true.
And we're here to join you in holding the space.
Thanks, and hold the space for him figuring out how to be a joyful doctor and draw lines where he needs to draw them and say no when they want him to stay over and over and over long hours past his time to leave and all that stuff. And this is his problem too. He can't say no. He wants to be the good guy, all this stuff. This is all stuff that needs...
Sounds like he perhaps overwhelms himself with that.
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
He does. So, but Michael, I've used the worksheet with the son, a 27-year-old son of a friend. I'm not sure whether he is going to continue, but grandson, my middle boy, Jacob, middle of my daughter's kids, did a worksheet with me yesterday.
Awesome.
And he did incredible work. He got denial immediately. He got the idea of a goal needing to be identified and then canceled in order to feel better. He got it. And he's brilliant, and he told his mother he got a lot out of that worksheet. So I typed up the whole worksheet. He didn't have it with him. So I read it out on the phone. I typed it up and told him about power persons and the healing crisis stuff that might come up and what the meaning of the word denial is, and just reinforce some of that and sent it to him as a sort of a little piece of homework to do. But I really think where nothing else has helped, he's been on medications for anxiety, and he's smoked pot for anxiety, and he's taken microdosage of LSD to help that. And he's very bright. He does a lot of research. He knows it's uncharted territory and it may be dangerous, and yet he feels he needs something. So I gave him a mind shifter that it's safe and healing for me to be well all on my own. And I said, you just argue with that for a few pages and we'll talk again. This is great stuff, Michael.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to, when we get off the show, I'll text you a link to a couple of radio shows where we talk about the healing process and what it looks like. Yeah, I think you were on the show a while back when Patrick called in, but I'll send you a link to that show, and I'm sure Jeannie's probably already putting it in the notes, but perhaps you can pass that along to him and he can start to acquaint himself more with what the healing process looks like, and that always makes it easier to embrace what has to move.
Yeah. Well, he's an amazing kid, and I'm really excited about it, and I just hope that he, you know, my one fear that I have to do a worksheet on is that a prophet is not without honor except in his own country, and I'm his grandmother, and I'm thinking maybe this will seem like not the real thing since grandmother is handing it to me. I hope he doesn't feel that way. Being once removed helps. If it were my son, that's different. He probably, would question it a little more.
Well, I'd support you doing some forgiveness around the fact that he even question you just because you're in his family. I would think that he would respect you because you're his grandmother and have been there for him for years. So I'd support you forgiving that belief that because you're a member of the family, he's going to reject it. That sounds like a worksheet to me.
It does.
Because it sounds like he's just hearing it loud and clear.
He seems to be. And also his worksheet led to topics for 10 other worksheets, and I told him about the Hydra So I listed the topics that had showed up in his worksheet and said, here are your next worksheets. If you want to do them, I'll do them with you.
And he was able to hear that?
I don't know. I emailed these to him.
Ah, cool.
I emailed
fun
him.
To hear how he does with it.
Oh, it will. So anyway, thanks for the tools.
You are most welcome and deserving.
So you had texted me that you were heading for Sarasota. Are you home?
I am in Sarasota, Florida right now. There's a doctor down here that's looking at expanding his clinic, and he wants to integrate. He's been doing the forgiveness work for about 25 years, and he wants to integrate it more into his clinic with his clients. And so a fellow who's looking at partnering with him from Ohio came down, and we've just been, and then there's another practitioner that he's worked with here. And so we've been basically spent the weekend concentrating on the principles of forgiveness and the whole body of work. They're looking to use that in some expanded work he's going to do in his clinic. They're looking at renting another 7,000 square foot area to move forward, and this will be the root of the healing work that he'll do with people. So it's pretty cool. And besides that, I'm in this, I guess it's probably a 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 square foot house right on the beach in Sarasota. So it's pretty nice. Sun is out. The water is cold. Been doing some cold plunges into the ocean. And so all is rocking.
Jeanie gets
all is
to
well.
Stay home and hold down the fort.
She did. She had Dad there and baby. So I had to make the journey out into the world. First one in almost 2 years. So it was kind of interesting.
How long of a trip is that?
It's normally about an 11 to 12-hour drive. It took me a little longer because I was listening to some YouTube medical recordings, and I got kind of caught up in those. And when I came out of a gas station, I had a via in that took me in the opposite direction. And I drove for a couple hours in the opposite direction, turn around and come back. But that was okay. So far, it's been a very successful weekend.
Oh, good. That's so exciting. Is he suggesting that you and Jeanie join him in his endeavor down there, or is this just a whole separate thing?
Well, at this stage, it's more that I'm training the people he's working with in understanding regulatory speech and the forgiveness process. Ideally, yes, he'd love to see that happen, but, we're there with the baby and Dad. We're not going anywhere. So I'll be supporting. He's actually in the intensive. If you remember Dr. Laurence. So he's in the intensive and just delving into the work on another level himself. So a lot of our conversation has been about understanding the principles.
I didn't recognize the name. What's his first name?
John.
Oh,
John Laurence.
Okay, I'll pay attention. Yeah. Okay.
He's doing a lot of really unique medicine and regenerative work, regenerating the brain, supporting the brain with different nutrients, and he's got a whole line of products that he's creating to support brain health, brain development, and healing. So it's pretty cool.
Great. That is.
It is. So anything else for you today?
No, I pretty much told you about everything. Yeah.
Awesome.
Healing crises.
All right. Well,
crises are weird because they tend to be shorter than they used to be.
Well, as you become more skilled, you get to move through things more quickly. And in fact, you get to move through bigger, deeper things more quickly than the early days where it was just, well, how do I handle this energy? And not having that skill and that ability, it takes time to work through things. I know that I'll have a healing crisis come up that's, that 30 years ago would have taken me weeks to go through, and I can go through it generally in minutes.
Oh, that's so great.
It's all about developing the skill and continuing the practice, which is what we all need to be doing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you have a blessed one.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Okay. Lots of love.
Too.
And we have a hand up.
Great. Let's say hello.
Area code 954. I think this is Nene.
Yes, indeed. Hello. Good afternoon.
Welcome, young lady. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Talking about the healing crisis symptoms. Well, yesterday, Valentine's, I took most of the day to work on my first purpose is to develop the viable, conscious, spiritual body.
Right.
And I watched the videos, took notes, and I did my third mind shifter that I had to do. And it was a very, very nice experience, as usual, very powerful. Very powerful. And then I decided I said, you know what, I'm going to do the breathing. And I did the still point breathing. Also, maybe good 15 minutes, maybe the hour, but very nice and, go through things you don't even remember. But, and then after I finished the breathing, I have fresh coconut water because I was very thirsty. I noticed my voice changed, maybe from the breathing. I was very slow and I was very cold, low temperature, very cold. And, here we were like in 80 degrees yesterday. And I was very cold for perhaps 3 hours, good 3 hours. But the joy, the serenity, an internal freedom, it was absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
That internal enthusiasm, I looked at everything with beautiful colors, and I was just grateful and beautiful.
Sweet.
Yep.
Nice work, young lady. Glad you're sharing it and extending it out there.
Yes, very much so. So I'm very grateful of the intensive. I'm glad that I stepped into committing to it, and it's really opening understanding and opening paths for me in helping me to put my life on track with purpose. I'm very grateful.
Cool. Sweet. Well, glad to be on the team and deeply appreciative of you being on ours.
Yes. Happy day. Today I took it off as well. My day off.
All right, you have a blessed one.
A lot of work to do.
All right. Well, Miss Jeanie, how are we doing in the chat room, or any hands up in the phone queue?
No, it's all quiet. We have 16 minutes, so what does somebody want to talk about?
Yeah, we've got room for another big conversation. So what's on your mind? How can we support you? Have you been using the app on your phone? Have you gone to the website to pick up the instructions on how to do the forgiveness work? There are videos, there are audios. We have well over 3,000 hours in the archives. Great. Let's say hello.
Area code 760. You're on the air.
Hey, a fellow Floridian right here. This is Ann.
Oh, well, welcome.
Okay, so talking about the brain, what is the process or whatever, I don't know what you want to call it, process, whatever, what happens when we're not drinking enough water? What is the brain, other than yelling for help probably, what does it do to our body?
Well, you go into dehydration. In dehydration, everything just basically slows down, stops working. There's a really excellent book out there by a gentleman whose last name is Batman Geldy, and it's called The Body's Many Cries for Water. And he goes into it very deeply. And one of his theses is, once your mouth says you're thirsty, you're way beyond thirsty. You're way beyond where you should be, and that you need to be drinking enough water to never be thirsty, because that thirsty signal is a late notification that the body's in trouble.
Okay, so that confirms. I'd heard that a while back, years ago, and so so that's where that comes from, because they said, and maybe it had to do with seniors getting older or something too, that we don't have, supposedly, we don't have that trigger of thirst as much, and so that's why those who are older are not aware of, you should be drinking the water, I guess, because I know I have to set timers for myself. And so this morning I go, oh my gosh, it's been 5 hours because I got sidetracked on this or that. And I go, I know, and I'm feeling it. I just get lethargic and just, okay, now the depression, okay, none of this is going to work, blah, 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 blah. And I go, I know that's not right. So, okay, let's get some water down your gut, But
it can be a good idea to have containers. I use a Voss glass water container. Most of their bottles are plastic now, but there's a really nice glass bottle that holds almost a liter. And it can be good to have enough containers that your day's water, you can fill those containers, and you know that that's what you're going to end up drinking. That can be useful as well, so that you kind of pace yourself.
And I do that. It's just walking into the kitchen and starting to use it. I mean,
right.
So, but this happens, and I go, I realize how much it does play on the brain, and you just said that. So that's why it's so important for once I get up, I just need to get some water down me right away and start that whole quart. I can usually get two glasses of water down before I eat, but I'm working on the 4. But that I kind of go with the body weight. What half the ounces a day, and half of our body weight in ounces.
Correct.
And so, and that's just water, though. I mean, I've heard the different things about, okay, as long as you get the fluids in, but I try to stick with just that much water, and then it's a bonus whatever else I do, right? Tea or
right,
whatever. Okay, all right.
I'm with you on that.
But I just noticed how quick it comes into the and then listening to what Susan was talking about, and I go, okay, so how much the water does play a really important part, since we're a huge percent water. So okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Any other thoughts for you, young lady?
No, not this time. I'm going to drink some more water and get some other fluids down me. Thanks.
Cool. All right. Blessings. I find that, the first thing in the morning is to get at least the first quart of water in before touching food. That can be a good base. And you want to sip it, not just gulp it down. Gulping it down is kind of like a big rainstorm on a parched surface. Very little of the water actually soaks in. It just runs off. And so slowly sipping the water over time is the best way to hydrate. Supports proper elimination. All right. Well, Miss Jeanie, any conversations in the chat room that are exciting?
No.
Anything happening in the phone queue?
10 minutes.
Well, we hold a space,
Julie sent me a text. Julie from Heartland
and says, please send warming energy their direction. It's 0 degrees down to minus 15, and it's snowing.
Brr. Sending heat to Theodosia. My goodness. 0 degrees. That's cold. Sending heat and sunshine in your direction. All right, so we've got a few minutes left. Anybody out there in the phone queue with a hand up? Anybody have a thought for us?
We
How can
have
we
a hand
support
up.
you? Great. Let's say hello.
Is this Miss Julie? 417, you're on the air. Hey.
Yeah, it is me.
Brr, 0 degrees. Oh.
Wow, the wind chill
Bless
is
your
below,
heart.
15 below.
Oh,
Did you hear the wind
goodness.
chill? Yeah.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, so with wind chill 15 below, I went outside, but I had 2 coats on, and I don't know how many clothes I have on. I have 3 pairs of pants on. I think I have 5 shirts on. Mhm.
Oh,
yeah,
my
even
goodness.
Yeah, you can feel it even inside, you know. It's just cold. Brr. I don't think I've
Sounds
ever
like
been
a
in
good
this
day
cold
to stay
weather.
inside.
Yeah, I hope the cats are okay. Because, you know, little one got kind of wired yesterday when I went back over there. So anyway, yeah, definitely an opportunity to be inside.
For sure. Sounds
I'm
like
a
a
little
good time
envious.
to do it.
Yeah, I'm a little envious of you being in Florida.
Sending heat in your direction.
Thank you. Heat and dryness. Whoa.
Yeah, this morning I went out and jumped in the ocean. I don't know what the temperature is, but it was cold. It was a good cold plunge to do.
Oh, yeah. So where are you located?
Coming back out in Sarasota.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's nice there.
Very nice, yes.
Right.
Very nice, especially the digs that we have right now. I'm actually moving over to Dr. Lawrence's house later today, but we just had this house on the beach for the weekend, so it's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Definitely nice gift. Nice creation.
So sending heat in your direction.
Thank you very much. You have a very successful gift. It sounds fabulous.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Had a question in the chat room. Are there any suggestions for improving brain health?
Oh, there's so much information out there now on supporting your brain. You know, just jump online and start doing some searching. You might search Dr. John Lawrence. He has a place called the Regeneration Center here in Sarasota. And so it's Dr. JohnLieuRance. And the Rejuvenation Center. He's working with just whole body rejuvenation, doing some pretty unusual stuff with stem cells, and I mean, he's doing all kinds of different work, some really cutting edge stuff. So you might want to make contact with him and see what kind of supportive programs he might have for you.
Okay, we have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. So has anybody out there got a 5-minute conversation to go? Otherwise, let's move in the direction of looking at, and I was doing some still point breathing with the group this weekend, and what came through, you know, I was asking about life and asking, you know, I'd shared last week that I had this opening of, you know, needing to ask that all the channels for love be opened in me and through all my generations. And what came through as I was breathing yesterday was that it's actually the movement of love through us that is life. And that was like, whoa. Now that puts a whole different twist on it. That when we allow the active presence of love to move in and through us, that it's actually that flow that is life. And so I'd invite you to think about, places where, because somebody doesn't deserve it, perhaps you withdraw or you withhold that flow of love through you. And what are you really withholding? We're really withholding our own human lives. And so the objective of this work is to restore us to the truth of who we are as humans, and to be in that flow continuously, that flow of life through the cell, through the structure, is life itself. The activity of love moving is life itself. So we invite you to consider that, and then look at places where perhaps your mind feels like some sort of hostility or fear is in order. And then ask yourself the question if you want to give up your human life to that hostility or fear. And if your mind and your past and your generations are filled with hostility or fear, for a time, as you start doing your work, it's going to seem like, well, but that's the only thing that's possible. And our offering is, that's one of the mind's lies. As you apply forgiveness, you weaken the hostility and fear within your structure, and you strengthen the direct experience of functioning as active present love, and moving through your life as love is what gives vitality and aliveness to this game. And so we invite you to consider that, and to recognize that if you've got somebody in your life, you say, well, I'm going to punish them. I'm not going to give them my love. I'm going to withdraw that. Who am I really withdrawing it from if I withdraw it from someone? And my offering is, it's all smoke and mirrors. And it's time for us to be so connected and alive that no matter what somebody does, we can hold to the space of conscious, active, present love and move forward as true life, true human beings moving in the world. So I invite you to join us in that, and I'll just invite you to take a couple of deep breaths. And as you do, think about a place where perhaps you've withdrawn love, where you've said, oh, somebody doesn't deserve it because of, and whatever your mind's answer is, somebody doesn't deserve love. And just ask yourself the question of, why would you withdraw life from yourself because of what somebody else does? And I'd offer the answer is because most of what the world has taught us is in error. Most of what the world has taught us is backward. Like you can straighten somebody out if you punish them. Excuse me. If you look at all the punished people, what caused them to do what they're being punished for was the fact that they were punished. And it becomes the attractive force. It becomes the attractive energy to repeating those behaviors. So we invite you to step into that space where you become and you offer conscious, active, present love to all the world simply because that's who you are. And you're willing to have that presence of love, that life move through you into the world, whoever deserves or doesn't deserve, whatever it is. So we're honored to have this time with you, and we're down to the last minute or so. So I'm just going to say, have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world, and blessings. I'm with you, and we're down to the last minute or so. So I'm just going to say, have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world, and blessings.
I choose to live more consciously, evolving continuously.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce and myself, Jeanie Ryce, and Dr. Tim Hayes and Michelle Pichet, as we present the first century Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. We are here for 2 hours every Monday through Friday from 12 noon to 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Mind Shifters Radio. For more information on Aramaic forgiveness, please visit www.whyagain.org. That's www.whyagain.org.